Fabián Ruiz to Real Madrid. What are my thoughts? So, first and foremost, I just want to set the record straight and say that I think that this is one of those stories. I think that it's inevitable that occasionally you have people linking the odd player to Real Madrid, given that there's a perceived shortfall in a certain area. And I think that this is one of them. Okay, so what kind of player is Fabian Ruiz? Does he fit into the Real Madrid side? First and foremost, he is a central midfielder. He's quite flexible in that regard, but he's by no means a six or a defensive midfielder. So if you're expecting him to be the replacement for the Zubimendi, the Rodri, the guy who's going to control the game from that area, essentially the Cruz, I don't believe that he's the same sort of profile. He has got some good statistics to his game. Under De La Fuente, for example, he's already got 4 goals and 4 assists, and he had an amazing Euros. And he operated in a midfield alongside Pedri and Rodri before Pedri got injured, and then obviously we had Dani Olmo. But nevertheless, his position in the team, is it necessary for what we need? You could argue yes, because he's a progressive player, he's very comfortable with the ball, he offers something slightly different to what we already have. If you look at the profile of our players, you've got Chouameni, who is very sound defensively for the most part, reads the game quite nicely, and he keeps things simple in terms of passing. But he's not the most progressive with the ball. Then you look at Valverde. Valverde runs, he tackles, he's literally everywhere, he never stops. But does he springboard those attacks? Normally he's driving the team himself. But is he capable of playing those passes to unlock defences? Not so much. If you ignore the amazing back heel in the last game against Real Betis, which was a little bit more of that, please. That would be really, really nice to see. And then, of course, you've got Jude Bellingham. Now, Jude Bellingham plays a lot closer to the goal, so he's obviously going to get more goals and assists. But the question is, it's all dependent on whether we want to play 4 in midfield with that diamond from last season and 2 up top, or whether Ancelotti wants to persist with a 4-3-3. Because if it's a 4-3-3, I would argue there's no place for him. If you're looking at Chouameni, Valverde, Bellingham, I don't think anyone else gets in that midfield. And that might seem a little bit arrogant, but I think unless you're substituting Rodri for Chouameni, I would really need to be convinced to drop Bellingham or Valverde from that Real Madrid side. So let's look at it logistically. Is this something that we can attempt quite easily or quite comfortably and add him to the squad and see how he goes, sort of thing? Well, he's still got years on his contract. I believe that his contract runs until 2027. So Paris Saint-Germain are under no obligation to sell. Moreover, there's the issue. Paris Saint-Germain, who, let's be honest, hate our guts. They couldn't come to terms with the loss of Mbappe, the years that we spent engineering and manufacturing that deal. By all accounts, Nasser Al-Khelaifi is not a very happy chappy. So the likelihood of him selling us anyone is fairly slim to none. And I feel it reminds me a little bit of when Sir Alex Ferguson had Cristiano Ronaldo on the books at Man United, and Madrid wanted to sign him the year previous to when he arrived. And it was in 2008 actually, because Ronaldo arrived in 09. And during this season, Sir Alex Ferguson made one of the most famous quotes. He referred to Real Madrid and he said, "I wouldn't sell that mob a virus." This feels very similar. I'm fairly sure that Al Khelaifi would not sell us anything, which is why the likes of Ashraf Hakimi is essentially, he might as well be imprisoned at this point. It's a golden castle. It's very difficult to get a player out. The figures that they're reporting for Fabian Ruiz is a reported market value of 35 million euro, which is very accessible. I don't think that that is a huge quantity to pay for a player that could potentially enhance your side and give you something different from what you've already got. The problem is that I don't believe for a second that Paris will sell to us for that value. So, in a sense, although you could argue that he would add something new, I still believe that unless you're switching to a 4-4-2 and having that diamond in midfield, there's no place for him. I would personally do that, but Whether it's actually going to happen is another story entirely. Nevertheless, I believe that this story comes down to one thing and one thing only. I don't believe that Paris will sell him to us under any circumstances. And with that logic, I don't believe that this will happen. I think it's dead in the water before it even gets started. But what do you think? Do you think that this is a player that would benefit our team? Do you think we'd be able to get him out of the Golden Castle? Who knows? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Take care.